The following is a special presentation of the PDF Sports Network.
You know, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, entertainment, entrepreneurship, and so much more. Nick Durst here along with Joe Calabrese. And Joe, our guest today, very excited to have him on. He's been in the business for a long time. You hear his voice or see his face everywhere over the past 30 years. This is a bit of a reunion. The three of us at one point for a little bit all worked for the same company. We'll get into that a little down the road, but tell everybody who we have with us here today.
Well, it's the middle of the NBA playoffs. It's his favorite time of the year. We absolutely loved working with him during our time. He's an excellent NBA, radio, TV, host, personality. Very, very happy to have him on. We get to pick his brain a little bit. We welcome Rick Kamla to the show. Rick, you look great, as always. Are you still in Florida, and how are you doing?
Thank you for the compliment.
Can you tell by that tan he's still in Florida? He's been out.
Nick and Joe, what's going on? I love the sun. That's why I'm down here. And love the beach and all that kind of stuff. We got a spot down here for you guys. I was just talking to Nick. It took me a long time, guys, to get down here in paradise, and it's going to take a lot to get me out of here.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the beaches in sunny Florida.
That's right.
Pretty big difference. Pretty big difference.
It's a huge difference.
When it's 50 down here, it's 10 up there.
Right, and 50 down there doesn't carry the wind and everything that the Northeast kind of carries, you know. So listen, I have one side of the family's in Orlando and other side's in Tampa. Once upon a time, I had family that lived closer to Miami. My best friends, they have a condo in Delray. So, you know, I
missed the 305, Joe.
Missed the 305. I miss Florida. We'll get back down there soon, and Rick will time around we'll be able to stop around and see you. But you know, Nick mentioned it from the lakes of Minnesota. So let's talk about attending the University of Minnesota. You were the sports director of the student radio station WMMR there. So when did you know that you kind of wanted to pursue sports? Right, the communications, right? Back then when you went to school, the landscape was a little bit different. And when did you first know that you were just obsessed with basketball and that was your passion?
Magic Johnson brought me into basketball. In the 70s when I was a kid, like a little kid, I was a baseball and football guy, big Vikings fan, big Twins fan. I was a Cincinnati Reds fan with P. Rose and Johnny Bench and all those guys. Love that team. Joe Morgan, George Foster, Dave Concepcion. I mean, that's a squad, man. That team captivated. That was the first like non-local team to captivate my imagination way back in the day. But Magic Johnson in the title game against Larry Bird, it's not the first basketball game I watched, but it was one of the first basketball games I watched. Probably watched, I don't know, some like lame, I don't know, NBA game time or two. But I was like, okay, this is what basketball is. This is what it's all about. Immediately plugged into hoops and him. I've been a hoop head ever since. And in terms of like that, Joe, it's a great question. The lightning bolt that I got, which I don't know. Everybody's probably got a different story, but I did not make the high school baseball team. And I was shattered about that. I was a good baseball player, but I grew up in a very, very competitive city and location where, I graduated with like 650 kids. High school was like $2,000 or $3,000. It's just very, very competitive and hard. Every kid that made the team was a total badass. One of those deals, right? So, but it crushed me. I was like, what do you mean? That's it? I'm done. So immediately I was like, I want to be Brent Musburger. And so it was, I don't know if I pivoted in that moment. I might've gone home and you know what I mean? I was probably bummed out for a minute, but in that period, I was like, all right, maybe this baseball thing isn't going to work out for me. Brent Musburger's probably never hit a home run, probably never scored a touchdown, probably never dunked a basketball. Why can't I do that? And dedicated my career to that at that point. And it wasn't a career yet. I was still, 14 or 15 years old, right? And so I would turn down the volume on the TV and I would do play-by-play in my bedroom. And my brother and my mom were like, what is wrong with you? Like, what are you doing? You're talking to yourself? It was totally foreign to them. I'm like, I'm working. I didn't say chops, but I was working on my chops, and I didn't even know it yet. But it's a good thing I did, because when I got to WMMR, like, I had already practiced a little bit, and I already had a little bit of a cadence and stuff like that, and then I built on it from there. But that was the genesis of the whole thing.
Yeah, you had a great career there as the sports director, calling over 100 games. So you cut your teeth right there early, ready for it. And then let's flash forward a bit here. 1989, you invent fantasy basketball. How did that happen?
So fantasy football was already a thing. Fantasy baseball was already a thing. I started playing fantasy in 1986. I played baseball. A buddy of mine, my first best friend, Josh, who I'm still buddies with to this day, dear friends, I should say, invited me into his dad's fantasy baseball league. Me and him co-owned the team. I don't know. We didn't win it, but I don't know how we did. I don't have that detail. So that was, shoot, I was in high school, I don't know, young and dumb, and just, oh, fantasy, what is this? Oh, cool. We build our own teams. Wow, that's pretty cool. Because I'm a huge sports nerd, right? Playing video games, collecting baseball cards, like going to the stadium to get autographs, all that nerdy stuff, dude, totally into it. And so, like, anything sports wise, especially where like you had your hand on the steering wheel, and it was like, I was like, what do you mean? This is our team? Like, I can have Mark McGuire on my team. Like, wow, yeah, let's do this. So fast forward to 1989, I'm at Sigma Nu fraternity. I pledged as a junior. And so that year was 1989. And that year, I was like, well, I've got, I don't know, 150 friends now. I mean, you're not friends with every single one of them, but I had like a natural market to start a league. And I got this idea to start a football league and a basketball league. And I did both. And obviously, I didn't invent fantasy football. They were playing fantasy football back in the 70s. Heck, I don't know the exact origin of it, but I know they were playing back in the day. They didn't have yards or PPR. It was just like touchdowns and field goals. It was very like cavemanish, but they played. And I was like, there's no basketball. Nobody does basketball. I love basketball. Magic Johnson's my guy. So I'm like, I'm going to do this in basketball. And I have searched the world. I have asked a million people. Nobody has started a fantasy basketball league before mine at Sigma Nu fraternity. That's why I make that claim. I am open to no. I have documentation. I had a league in 1979. Okay, if that's true, then I'm not the guy. But we've got to, like, I don't know, there's not a fantasy sports historian. I mean, in a way I am. But it's just somebody who like studies and like sorts all of this out. So it's on us to sort of do that for the world, and so they know. So I invented fantasy hoops, and I did a very smart thing, fellas. I set up a rule, and I told it was a 10-team league. And here you'll love this. By the way, how old are you guys?
32, 33.
32. We'll be 33 this year.
Okay, I love it. So I'm 55. So you guys have no idea about this because you have always been in the Yahoo era, the ESPN era. You get an app, you go to the website, you do your thing, right? And it's all like with algorithms and systems and stuff. We had to hand score.
Yeah.
We had to hand score the league. All right, so I'm working for the radio station, doing all this play-by-play, had a 20-hour-a-week job, maintaining like a regular school workload, 3 classes a semester. I'm in a frat partying my face off, and I've got to like do this, and I've got to hand score this stuff. It probably did hurt my GPA a little bit, I'll be honest. But I did it, right, and made it through the season. I really, really wish I had that notebook that I did it all in, but I'm not a young guy, and you move and stuff.
So you'd buy all the papers to check the box scores, you do all the calculations.
And that was the whole thing. That was the whole thing. You had to. The Minneapolis Star Tribune did a good job of putting the box scores out. So if there was like a Seattle Golden State game that went to overtime, right, and it didn't quite make the press deadline, they would then run it the next day. And you would have to like look, and I'd be like all worried, like, dude, I got 2 boxes that are missing here. I got to get the the Phoenix and Sac box. I got to get the GSW and LAC box. Like the league's going to fold here. And so like they were very thorough. And I don't think that they missed any games. Like if they'd put it, like I said, it'd be a day later, but the box would be out there, which is another foreign thought, right? Everything's so real time now. The newspapers used to like think about it comprehensively like that. Like we have to get this box score out to our people. Some asinine NBA game that only Rick Kamla cares about. We got to put this in the paper. So hand scored the league, but I set up a rule because Magic Johnson was, always will be my guy. And I knew, big triple-double guy and stuff. So I set up a stipulation where you got like big-time bonuses for triple-doubles. And so we're at draft night. Me and 9 other guys, we're in the frat sitting on the couches, probably with drinks in our hands and stuff like that, ready for the draft, right? And I told everybody, so it's points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. We didn't do the percentages back then. We just did the counting numbers. And that was the origin of it. It was what was called League Freak, which a lot of fantasy basketball players know. But that's how it started. And then, you go to 8 cat with the percentages and 3 balls and that kind of thing. Back in the day, we didn't do that. It was raw. Points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. It also made it easier to keep track of the league. And I told everybody, there's a bonus for triple doubles. Okay. Just know that. Guys that have triple doubles, they're going to score more. Everybody know that? Everybody nods their head. Okay. It went in one ear and out the other. Everybody forgot. I got Magic Johnson with the 3rd overall pick. He had like 26 triple doubles that year. I win the league. I take all of their money. I did not do another league like the next year. Why, you ask? Because it was a pain in the ass to do that, man. It was it was really, really hard to make it through that whole year. But then, so that was 89 into 90. And then I got the job with Fanball, which you'll probably want to talk about here in a minute, in 94. But in between there, I forget who was doing it. I think CBS Sportsline might have come up and they were doing some fantasy league management. I forget how that gap was bridged from the origin in 89 to when I that's the only league I hand scored, by the way, and then got into like leagues where, somebody else would manage it. But that's how that went.
So yes, you're leading us into Fanball. Now, the fact that you used to do that stuff without the internet at all, that component to it is tremendous. But there are stages to the internet. The internet starts in the early 90s, right? And it's more or less kind of looks the same up until about the early 2000s. And then the early 2000s, a little bit of a switch, right? But it's not the internet that we know of today, right? So you got into the industry at that particular time. So explain how you got the Fanball job, right? What you did up until 2006, but also walk us through the evolution of like how the internet and technology was changing what you were doing with the industry at that time.
Well, I'm not a software guy. I'm relatively intelligent, but like, I don't really remember, to be totally honest with you, like all of the sort of like innovations and revolutions with the internet. I just kind of don't remember that. But I do have a great story about how I got the job with Fanball. So we're up in Minneapolis, right? And I know I'm just a huge fantasy sports guy. And I wanted to make it a career. And so you had like the broadcast thing, the fantasy thing, I was kind of like pushing both and like just seeing like which avenue clicked, right? And so they had, there was a guy named Cliff Charpentier. He was making fantasy football books, which got outdated very, very quickly, right? He would make them in May or June. They would sit on the shelf, and I'm sure he sold a lot of copies and stuff. And it was like gold just to get somebody like sorting players, ranking players, writing about players. You got all the stats, right? And the books were really cool. But I had this idea, the book goes stale really quickly. And so I want to do a weekly thing where we keep up on it, week by week during the season, and we put content out. Okay. So pretty good idea by your boy, right? I'm not like the entrepreneurial type. And there was Paul Charchian, who's an absolute legend in the fantasy space, it was really kind of a pamphlet, a newsletter It was like creative loafing, if you guys know what that is. Like the rag where you get like all the concerts coming up and they've got articles and city stuff and all that. It was basically that, but in fantasy football. So we're writing articles, we're pithy, we're witty, we're talking trash about players and just trying to be funny and kind of we weren't doing it like it was just like a kind of a bunch of like sarcastic knuckleheads came together for this thing, and that's what you got. So I'm reading this newsletter, and I want to do this idea, right? And so I called Paul. And here's the funny thing. I look at the masthead of Fantasy Football Weekly is what it was called. It then later became Fanball. And I look at the masthead, and okay, who's the publisher? All right, Paul Charchian. Cool. Where does he live? He lived in my building. Okay. Wow. This guy could have been in Shanghai. He could have been on the moon. He was in my building in downtown Minneapolis. Literally, like, you can't make it up. And I'm not a huge, like, sign from God guy and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I believe in God, but I'm not, I just, some of that stuff is like, can we quantify that? Is it really true? I don't know. Okay. But this was like a lightning bolt, like the dude's in my building. Okay. So the next day, I reach out to him and literally that night we had him. No, he wanted me to send him like a mock-up article or whatever. The article actually ended up being in print. And so I sent him the article. He gave me a little assignment. I did it, killed it, met with him. He's like, I love it. I want to hire you. And so boom, that's how I got the job. And I pitched him, right? When I talked to him, I'm like, yeah, my idea here is, like Charpentier's doing the book thing. He's like, yeah, we know Cliff and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I want to work with you guys on a weekly, publication. And Paul kind of chuckled, and he's like, we kind of already started that, you know what I mean? And so, but we want to hire you. And I was like 25% disappointed, kind of dumbly, right? Like, yo, this guy's already doing what you want to do, but you want to like plug into the ownership side of it. Like, it just doesn't work that way. And I didn't know that at the time, but Paul's like, we want to hire you. We think you're a really talented writer. I was like, cool, let's do this. And it didn't become full time. Like, I had to have like regular jobs and stuff like that, jobs I hated, because I wanted to just do sports. So I'm doing this thing part time. I make the decision. Me and my first wife, we moved out to Colorado with $500. Why? Because Minnesota's Minnesota. Okay, like we had to get the heck out of there. And Colorado is arguably the greatest state we have in this country for a variety of reasons. So I go out there, right? Somehow, some way, I'm faxing these articles to Paul from Colorado to Minnesota. No clue how that happened. Every single time I had to meet a deadline and send it, I was like, oh my God, I'm about to lose my job. My dream is over. This isn't going to work. Just like like these old, it was like awful, right? But it worked. And he got the articles. They went to print. Boom. 1998, they flipped the switch from Fantasy Football Weekly to Fanball. And Paul's like, we want to hire you full time, and we want you to head up our basketball division. And I was like, awesome. Do I have to leave Colorado? And he's like, yeah, we're gonna need you back here in Minnesota. And I was like, yes. The answer is yes. I'm coming. I didn't want to leave Colorado, man. Colorado is very, very special. And like, absolutely dominates Minnesota. It's not even close. All right. And I got friends in Minnesota. I was born and raised there 30 years. But I went back and it was the best decision I've made because, full time and through all of those basketball writings, I got discovered by NBA TV. And if I had not left Colorado for Minneapolis and just dove in, and I mean, like, it's just hundreds and hundreds of articles. I don't know if I would have developed the following that got me over to NBA TV. So it all happened for a reason.
So you're there 12 years overall, 8 years full-time with Fanball. Unprecedented in this day and age. If you're lucky, you're going to be at a company like 4, 5, 6 years max, so it's crazy there at that time. And you mentioned NBA TV, they come knocking. I'm sure you're thinking back to your college days. Okay, this is finally what I'm going to be able to use that broadcasting background for. So how cool was that for you to do TV? And then from there, obviously you're doing radio as well, 92.9 The Game, and then SiriusXM. So Talk to us about that period, getting those jobs, and the biggest differences for you prep work-wise between TV and radio, because TV, you're saying a lot less than the radio where you're filling the whole 20-minute segment before a break.
Yeah, let me, that's a great question right there. A lot of the prep in TV is done for you, but you got to make it your own. Because you got to be able to like be super, super smooth about it on the air. And so you don't want to read somebody else's stuff. You want to read your stuff, even if it's somebody else's information, if that makes sense. And so like the prep for TV, you get there, you've got the rundown, and there's just like blocks, and I forget the name of the system that we use, but it'll be segment 1, segment 2, and then there's like little blocks within the segment. And so I would go in there and write that and write little bridges and write little lead-ins and little tags and all that kind of stuff, so that all of the thinking was basically done before I hit the set. I didn't want to be searching out there and like, so it was all like tight. And so that didn't take a ton of time. It takes time, but not all day. And you got to get a suit on, you got to put makeup on, and you got to have a production meeting. There's all that stuff, right? So but in terms of like sitting down, content, blah, 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 it's really kind of one of those things. Like when I worked for NBA TV 17 years, the one thing is, and I loved it, you can never turn off. Okay. Like, let's say you're working Tuesday, you're off Wednesday, Thursday, you're back Friday. You can't turn off on Wednesday and Thursday. There's too much to make up. Right. So you just got to stay on it all the time, every time. And then when your shift comes back up, you're not like, oh God, I got to scramble. I got to what happened the last few days? Just stay on it, stay on it, stay on it, stay on it, stay on it. And then you really grind on the details of that night of the NBA. Friday night, 13 games, boom. Every injury, who's hot, who's not, the teams with a 5-game winning streak, the teams that are upside down, all that. And so you go in, but it's not like you're studying for a test. It's like, no, you just have this on lock, okay? Like a day trader would. Like they don't have to study every day. Like they just know what's up because they're on it every single day. With radio, it's the same way with the staying up on it, but then there's a ton of content creation that's not involved in television. The producers do a lot of the content creation in television, and then we flesh it out as the host. As a radio host, you've got to create the idea, basically create the skeleton and flesh out the skeleton. So there's a lot more work involved, and it's not as rewarding financially. It is very fun. I love radio. I mean, I love TV. I love all this stuff. You want to pay me to talk? Yes. Let's go. But the prep is so different from radio to television, and there's just a lot more with, especially like guys. I worked over at Mad Dog Sports Radio 5 or 6 years, or whatever it was, and we would do solo 4-hour shows.
Wow.
I had never done that before. That gig, I had done a ton of radio. I had maybe done like a 2-hour solo show, maybe a 3-hour solo show. I had never done a 4-hour solo show. So originally it was daunting. Like, golly, I got to do 4 hours. How am I going to talk that long? How am I going to? And, the key is creating phone call topics.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying something cheesy. I'm saying you've got to, because there were phone call topics. I'm like, oh, this is going to kill, going to be calls all day and nothing. And then there's other topics where you're like, this one's kind of flimsy, maybe even kind of cheesy. I didn't really like this one, but I'm going with it. Boom, phones lit up the whole show. So you never really knew on that, but the key was to lighten the load on yourself, come up with a badass overarching topic. That in the NFL is a very good hot button thing with that. And then you learn over time who the players are that really drive it and who the players are that fans are kind of like, all right, yeah, I'm kind of bored on that. You got to, and so you just kind of figure that out as you go. But, going back to 2003, Nick and Joe, I got the call for the screen test with NBA TV. And Nick, to your point, I'm like, angels are singing here, man. I'm like, 30-31. Frankly, I was getting a little burnt out on fantasy sports writing. I'd been doing that for a long time at this point, and like still loving it, wasn't going to quit or anything, but like just getting a little burnt out. I needed something to pop, and it did. And they brought me up for a screen test. I guess I nailed it. They hired me. I think they flew me out to New York like a month later. They put me up in like one of those hotel/condo things where you stay at for a while, maybe 2 or 3 months, and then I had to go get my own place and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's what started it, doing the fantasy show. That sort of germinated into like play-by-play and anchoring and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what's up.
So right now, obviously radio's still big, TV's still big, but digital is kind of where it's at. You forayed in digital, you're in digital now. So you, like we mentioned at the top, we all for a brief period worked for Bettor Sports Network. You were hosting a nightly show, digital app, social media, etc. So what was that like for you? And also, I thought it was interesting that you're talking betting, and you're living in Florida at the time. No betting allowed. How are you like even doing your research to talk about what you got to talk about during those shows?
Well, as you guys know, like you just need to find the numbers, and then you can go to work on supporting opinions for that. And so no, I mean you're right, Nick. Hard Rock, God bless the Hard Rock, baby. Hard Rock Bet. I got the app on my phone. I'm live betting NBA games. I took an L last night, but it's been a good playoff so far. I lost the Golden State game by 1 point. I had -4. They won by 3, so that sucked. But that was a bad beat. But I'm enjoying. I mean, Fred VanVleet, my God, put a body on him. I mean, an act of God game screwed me over last night. I mean, Fred VanVleet, what do you have, 9 threes last night? Give me a break, man. Give me a break. FVB, because he sucked all year, and then bat, and they still lost the game. It's like it was all pointless, bro. Why did you do that? Why did you cook my bet? But I love Hard Rock, and it's very cool that Florida now has legalized sports betting. It's like, where have you been? But yeah, it wasn't like a hiccup or a problem at all. I might not have been wagering on the betting takes that I offered up, but that did not like take anything out. Like, because Nick, Joe, you guys are competitive. You guys don't want to be wrong. You guys don't want to put stuff out over airwaves and be wrong. Right. Okay, you want to be right. And so, and I know we're all the same. We get competitive about, even if we don't have money on the pick. Like if I say Jalen Brunson point over tonight was 29.5, whatever. If he doesn't hit the point prop over, I'm going to be pissed because I went to the air saying that he would hit his point prop over tonight. So it's about like owning the content. I mean, I don't want to put out crap. I've never put out crap. I never will put out crap. So yeah, you put a lot of work into it, even if you don't have the money on it. But now I'm putting work into it, and a lot of time, most of the time, I have some money on it too.
Now, Rick, are you one of those guys? Because you're the biggest hoop head we know. Are you betting NBA Summer League in Vegas, and you're in Orlando?
No, and I know they have bets, but it's one of those things, guys. At that point, like I follow the Summer League, and I don't like, oh my God, I gotta watch every game. I mean, give me a break, right? But no, you watch the big ones on that first weekend, and then you sort of follow. And like if there's another kind of hot game that pops up, you watch it. A lot of times I'll just turn it on, leave it on. I'm doing stuff, and you just kind of, you know what I mean, like a baseball game, Like, I mean, I don't know if you guys are Yankees fans, it might be a little different. I know you Yankees fans are wired.
That's Joe. Joe's the big Yankee fan.
Very tightly. Come on, Joe Calabrese, and you're a Yankee fan? Yeah, stop it. No way. Anyway.
Hopefully one day your Minnesota Twins, or not your Minnesota Twins, but your hometown team could beat the Yankees.
No, I mean, I'm a Twins fan, and you hit it. Dude, it's the bane of my baseball existence. That and these fucking umpires with their terrible strike zones. But
the robot umps are coming soon.
Thank you. I want robot umps. Something, for the love of God. Like all of these like proprietary and subjective strike zones. There should be no subjective strike zone.
Agreed.
It should be the strike zone.
The strike zone, and it varies per batter. Right. Absolutely.
Exactly. But this guy's got, he's known as a hitter's umpire. He's known as a pitcher's umpire. That's bull crap, man. That is bull crap. It should be the strike zone. Okay. So anyway, but the Twins, I no longer get geeked. Like if the Twins are like, They win 95 games. They win the Central. They're in the playoffs. I'm like, okay, because I'm waiting on the Yankee matchup.
Yeah,
and it happens all the time. I mean, you guys remember the Mauer Morneau? That was a rock star Twins
Mauer
team.
hit like 375, won the MVP. Crazy
Stop
season.
it.
And what they get swept by the Yankees.
I was going to say, did they even win a game off the Yankees? I don't think they did. Okay,
Yes, they did.
So it's the life of a Minnesota sports fan. It is what it is, man. And I'm divorced from the Vikings. All right, so I was smart enough to get off that sinking ship, and I was laughing last year. Everybody's Sam Darnold. I'm like, Sam Darnold is going to choke like James Harden in big games and 13-1, 12-2, whatever the frick your record is. It's not going to matter, and you're all going to be crying at the end of the year.
When they lost to the Lions Sunday Night Football to win the division, you knew they were going to be bounced the next week.
It was over. It was over. And now Sam Darnold's in Seattle. That's actually good news for the Vikings. Terrible news for Seattle. Well, what were they doing spending all that money on Sam Darnold? He's now with new coaches and he got paid, so expectations are going to be all screwy. He is going to fall flat on his face, in my opinion. And I'm not a JJ McCarthy guy at all. Horrendous draft pick by Minnesota. Completely overrated college prospect. He's going to face plant and choke in a Minnesota uniform like all the others. So I'm extremely cynical and jaded with the Vikings. I divorced them guys after Philly beat them 38-7 in the NFC Championship game on their way to that their first Super Bowl with Doug Peterson. So yeah, I'm divorced. I'm out, but I'm still a reluctant. I'm back on the Wolves, and I'll tell you why, because I was divorced.
A-Rod, that's why.
It's not A-Rod and Lori. It's that Glenn Taylor's no longer the owner. Okay. I had to create individually a boycott. Okay. And I'm not going to take you into Trump and tariffs and all that kind of stuff, but I had to boycott the Wolves because Glenn Taylor was their owner. I mean, this idiot's hiring David Kahn to pass on Steph Curry twice in a drive. I mean, what are we doing here? You've got handshake deals with Joe Smith that crater your team for 5 years. Bro, what are we doing? Missed on 1 million first-round picks over the years. It's just ineptitude. It's incompetence.
How about the trade this summer, though? Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo.
The jury's still out.
We'll see. Dante DiVincenzo brought something to the team this year that they were lacking in the past.
Yeah, I think the 1 to 6 components of the state of the Timberwolves are actually very good. And the question is, will Anthony Edwards want to itch his way and get out somewhere else? That's the real question. So long as he stays there, they're going to have a team that's going to be competitive and win 45 to 50 games every year. What do you think?
Totally agree with that. I'm not going to sit here, he's never going to leave. He loves Minnesota and stuff like that. Like, they all leave at some point. But
Kevin Garnett left.
Yeah, Kevin Garnett left. Now, KG did not want to leave. KG hated Glenn Taylor. That's another reason. KG's my second favorite athlete of all time behind Magic. I love Kevin Garnett.
He stuck it out through thick and thin, and he got traded.
That 1 year with Latrell Sprewell, they really should have went to the finals.
Yeah,
Latrell Sprewell.
I mean,
Sam Cassell
Sam Cassell got hurt. He ruptured a quad or something serious in early in that Lakers series, and that was it. They were done. But that was a hell of a ride, man. KG won MVP. I went to a lot of those playoff games. I was there for Game 7 when they beat Sacramento. Chris Webber missed a 3-ball at the end of Game 7, for Minnesota to go on to the West Finals. The place went bonkers. That was cool. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. So I'm back on the Wolves, man. I'm back on the Wolves, but I'm not like an insufferable homer. I'm very realistic. I do
very objective in your NBA coverage.
Yeah, thank you. I think you have to be. I think fanboy sucks. I think fanboy and fangirl sucks. Okay, if you want to be in the media, the fanboy and fangirl got to be left out there. Okay, and when you're alone in your living room and you want to cheer for your squad, cheer for your squad. But then you got to be able to compartmentalize. Okay, I don't want that seeping in and poisoning your takes. That everything is through a New York Giants lens, right? Mm-hmm. And the Giants, in fact, suck, okay? Like, I don't want to hear it. The optimism about the Giants, they suck.
There's no optimism for me as a Giants fan.
Sorry if you guys are Giants fans. Sorry, I was kind of banging on you. Listen,
the Giants, it's been a rough.
I do like the dark pick. I do like the dark pick.
I think they had a very solid.
They had to get a QB. They went up to get a QB. So, we'll see what happens there. Last sports thing here I want to touch on before we move on to your career. Where were you, and what was your reaction when Luka gets traded to the Lakers? Because Joe had a good story about where he was.
This is a definite where were you when moment. I got back from, I think I was seeing a concert. Not like a concert, but like you go to a bar and you see a band, right? One of those types of things. And so I'm back in my backyard. I'm in an apartment now. It was still in this house, which we have sold. And so I'm in my backyard having a beer, just kind of decompressing, right? It's beautiful in Florida. It was like crystal clear night, I don't know, 69 degrees. You know how it is. I'm not bragging, just saying. So I'm out there kind of just chilling. And I look at my phone. And my buddy Steve Alexander, fantasy sports legend, is like, "Did you see the Luka trade?" And I'm like, "What? What are you talking? What?" And so I immediately go to Twitter, just hit the refresh thing, and the first thing I see is Shams Charania with a tweet that says, "This is real," or whatever he put out. One of the weirdest tweets I've ever seen. When he put out the report, and then he had to put out another report that said, "This is real," or "This is not fake," or whatever it was. That was the first thing I saw. And I'm like, oh, this is Shams Charania, right? I'm like, oh, fucking A. This is Shams Charania with the blue dot. This is Shams Charania. They traded Luka? And then I'm like, first of all, they traded Luka. Oh, my God, what the hell? Then I'm like, to the Lakers. Okay, Anthony Davis was involved. And then I start digging into the trade. End up calling my boy Steve. We end up talking for 15, 20 minutes. I mean, insanity. What can I say? I'm still sorting it out. I'm still.
I want it investigated. That's what I want.
I think trading him's okay, but to not ask the rest of the league and go just to the Lakers and get such a poor return, that's a little strange. Imagine what you could have got such a big package back. I mean, if Kevin Durant with a broken leg at 36 years old is getting you 4 first-round picks, what are you going to get for Luka?
I completely agree. That's one of the things I said, maybe not in the moment, but like the next time I was on the air, like, why do it now? Why not? There's a reason why they didn't do it that way.
Money.
No, I don't think so. I think that because that would have been the smart thing to do. Let's say, because Shams will like soft launch the trade thing, right? The Mavericks have engaged in trade discussions for Luka. Oh shit, Luka Doncic is about to be traded. Okay, if that would have happened, yes, the entire league would have been on notice. All of these great trade offers would have come in. However, the Mavs would not have been able to trade him at that point because the public outcry would have been insane. Yeah. And apparently, this asshat Dumont, who put Nico up to this, and then is now hiding behind Nico. It's his fault. It's his fault. It's not my fault, right? This idiot DB is like, saying he was frustrated with Nico Harrison, that Nico didn't tell him or inform him or warn him how pissed off the Mavericks fan base would be. What a bunch of spin scapegoat garbage that is, brah. You're trying to throw this dude under the bus so you can still walk down the street in Dallas and not get punched in the face.
Right. What would have happened if Mark Cuban was still in control?
None of this would have happened. And that's the Dumont, Allison and Dumont. They took Mark off of basketball ops and put Nico on it full time and said, Mark, you can be pom-pom waiver, you can be our ancillary cheerleader, but you can have no say in basketball. Obviously a huge, huge mistake right there. First of all, I just don't think you do Mark Cuban that way, right? But they did, and here they are. Over the years, we've had a lot of dysfunctional teams. Your New York Knicks had that mantle for a while. The Sacramento Kings have had that mantle for a while. My Timberwolves have had that mantle for a while. Right now, it is clearly, and it will be for the next decade or generation, the Dallas Mavericks.
Great opinions. This is one of my biggest gripes with the regular season and how everything functions is that there's still too much player movement. We could debate the uniforms and the court changing and the in-season tournament and all that, but I think Nick and I would be great as guest analysts, right? So you're doing some hosting for sportsethos.com now. So what do you think? You'll have Nick and I on to talk some Knicks and stuff and kind of get some stuff out there?
I like your style, man. You're kind of like me with the ladies, like very forward, man. Very, yeah, put it out there. You got to shoot your shot. You got to shoot your shot,
There's a
Joe.
ball there.
I like it. Yeah, we can explore this. I'm open to it, man, for sure. I'm open to it. You guys got rap. I already know that, man. So yeah, I'm totally open to it.
Sounds good. So how do you like working for the company and doing the shows for them?
Sports Ethos is amazing. First of all, the guys I'm working with. Aaron Bruschi, who's also a fantasy sports legend, is the patriarch of this. Andre Lemouche is our producer, although he says he's not a producer. It's hilarious. It's like, no, dude, literally, you're the best producer I've worked with. He's like, I'm not a producer. Yeah, you are. Anyway, it's a funny thing we got going on there. Love them. Love Steve Alexander, who's my partner for a lot of the shows. Obviously, I do the NBA show solo. I've got a WNBA show that we launched 2 weeks ago. Monday, I believe we got to kind of orchestrate this, but I believe it's going to be Monday at 10 a.m. I'm going to be doing a WNBA draft
Liberty,
show.
Back to back. That's our team right there.
Well, if y'all can beat my Lynx, wink, wink. Because I'm telling you right now, guys, and I love the Liberty getting Natasha Cloud. To me, that's a huge get. She's a fantastic guard.
Why are the Aces blowing it up? I don't understand why, making trading Kelsey Plum. What are they doing?
You got me. I think it's a dumbass decision, my friend. I think it's real dumb. I think that that one reeks to me of interpersonal. Mm-hmm. And I don't know this. Okay. Why? Kelsey just helped you win 2. You made another run. I forget how long maybe 1 round or 2 round, whatever it was last year.
Well, they won the 2 and then they lost the semifinals. Last year they went to the semifinals.
Semifinals, right? I mean, but you were still like a top 4 team in the regular season and all this kind of stuff. Still one of the badasses of the WNBA. I mean, there were people that thought they were going to three-peat right up until that moment where they actually lost that series, okay? And so you're going to bail on that for Jewel Lloyd, who I like, but I like Kelsey Plum a lot better. And I'm not talking about, what you may be I'm talking about as a player here. I think Kelsey Plum is amazing. I love her. She's a dog. I mean, she's got that Kobe gene in her, man. Like, she wants to kill you out there. Comes downhill, takes big shots, makes big shots. I love Kelsey Plum. I think it's a huge mistake. I don't like Golden State is trying to keep it together. And I know Klay Thompson's out. They made the right decision letting Klay Thompson go. Klay Thompson in fantasy basketball right now is a waiver wire guy. Okay, 13, 14 points, 2 3 3s. That's it. No defense. The efficiency shrinking. I mean, I love me some Klay, but $17 million a year. No thanks. Okay.
No guards ever come back from those injuries the same way. So I think they made the right move. Yep, that's right.
But they're trying to adhesive the whole thing still together, right? Steph's still there, Dre's still there. They had Butler to this thing. That's what Vegas should have been doing. You have a chance to rip off a dynasty here. Keep it together, okay? The key for Vegas this year is not going to be Jewel Lloyd. Jewel Lloyd's going to be terrific and average 20 a game and do all the Jewel Lloyd stuff. Chelsea Gray. She was injured last year coming in. She never got her game right. That is literally why Vegas did not win more than they did. If Chelsea Gray is in shape, healthy, I know she'll be engaged and locked in because she's a dog too. I love how competitive she is. But if she's in good form, Vegas can get back in this thing. And I love her as a fantasy sleeper in the WNBA. Chelsea, I had a draft last night, got her in the last round or the second to last round. Wow. She may stink and she may be 15 points and 7 dimes. Okay. And I actually kind of think she's going to get back more to that. But I think Indiana has passed Vegas as the 3rd best team in the W. And I think it is an absolute coin flip between the Liberty and the Lynx. The Lynx have
I would go
perfect starting 5. Go ahead.
Laney Hamilton's out for the year for the Liberty. That's a big loss.
However, now a bench player with Cloud in there, right? So the significance is a little bit less. You lose a nice piece. You lose a bench player, but
plus some good people in the expansion with the expansion draft too.
It's going to happen, man. It's going to happen. Vegas lost some people. Here's my thing. Like, the WNBA is a pretty shallow league at this point. Not very many teams. Team rosters aren't that big. And they don't go real deep. They just don't. And the depth is going to be really stretched as they continue to expand, which is the right move, okay? Like, it's the right move. but the depth is going to continue to be stretched. And so that's going to magnify the importance of these starting fives. And so my gauge on WNBA teams goes starting five, and then I'll look to the next layer or two is in who's your sixth woman, who's your seventh, and that's it. Okay. To me, it really doesn't matter outside of that. So I would caution you as a Liberty fan, let that go. Okay. Because you did go pull Natasha Cloud, and your starting five is bad to the bone. Liberty and Lynx it's tough, man. In my brain right now, I'm trying to it's kind of a tie who has the best starting five. It really is. I probably give the nod to the Liberty because you've got Sabrina, you've got an MVP in Jonquel, you've got one of the GOATs in Breanna Stewart, right? And then you got Cloud and you got Phoebish, on Minnesota. So Minnesota's not as decorated, okay, yet. But they've got two forwards that don't get talked about that are absolutely awesome. Alana Smith and Carlton, who's like a 42% banger from three. And then you've got McBride. You've got, obviously, Nafisa Collier. Why am I blank? Oh, and Courtney Williams, their doggy point guard. So I think they got a pretty awesomely constructed starting five, too. You've got a GOAT coach in Cheryl Reeve. So I think it's game on, guys. I think the Lynx
it's going to be another great season.
I think they're going to meet again in the finals. I actually think the Lynx are going to get them this time. I don't know why. Maybe it's just like the disappointment, the sadness I saw in them because they really thought that was going to be their year and stuff and just crushed. And
so happened to Liberty. They were right there. They lost to the Aces and they came back with a vengeance. So we'll see what happens with the Lynx. And Rick, you're incredible. I don't think any other NBA guy could be going so in depth off the top of his head on WNBA. So we appreciate that. I appreciate your time. Last thing we're going to ask you here, we'll get you out of here. I know we went a little long, but it's been fun. In your life,
I'm having fun with you guys, man. Go ahead.
In your life for your career, what has been your, I'm right in a moment? What I mean by that, it's a time or place where you wanted to pursue something. You asked somebody for advice. They're like, Rick, what are you, crazy? Like, that's not going to work out. Don't do that. And you were like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. And in the end, you will see why it is that I'm right about this. And I can tell you, I told you so.
Awesome question. Boy, is that an awesome question. I would say I'm going to give you a two-parter here. My sports answer would be I predicted Russell Westbrook would average a 30-point triple-double and win MVP the year after Kevin Durant left. And people were like, what? Like, nobody averages a triple-double. And I'm talking like Steve Smith, Dennis Scott, Brent Barry, the guys over there. They're like, nobody's averaging. I'm like, nobody's ever going to average a triple-double again. They're like, no, it's never going to happen again. I'm like, I don't agree. I think LeBron could average a triple-double one of these years. Obviously, that wasn't a great take. But that was that was a take. That was a take that. And he did everything I said, 30, 10, and 10, won MVP, and all that kind of stuff. The bigger answer to it is I'm at my sort of take that or moment was back in college. I'm at Foul Play, which was the bar on Greek Row. It's where all the sorority and all the frat boys went. And I'm there one night having some beers with a buddy of mine, Jason Cleve, who I'm still buddies with to this day. And we're talking, sports, Barry Bonds, and he's like a stat whiz, right? Literally, his whole career was statistical analysis and all this deep stuff that, like, dude, you're a fucking genius. What's going on over here? Anyway, so he had a really hard time buying me making a career out of fantasy sports. And I'm like, no, I'm legit gonna do this for a living. He's like, no, you're not. There's no way that there's not going to be a market to support it. There's, all of these like technicalities to why it wouldn't work, right? And I'm like, I just didn't hear any of it. Maybe because I was 6 beers in, but I was also like, earmuffs. I don't want to hear any of this. I have a dream and I'm going for it. And he's like, okay. But he's like, I'll be talking to you down the line and I'll be reminding you of this conversation. I go, I'm going to be reminding you of this conversation. Okay. And so boom, here we go. It all worked out pretty well for me. Big thanks to God the Father up above. But and I have had that conversation with Jason, and he did have a hearty laugh, and he said, dude, I'm proud of you. I was wrong. You were right, and good for you, man.
Well, who knew from that time up until now how everything was going to change with the landscape of the NBA? And again, once I said how the internet changed everything. And Now you go from being on TV and radio, and with digital, you can kind of appear as you want, talking about whatever you want. But when it comes to NBA and the WNBA, Nick and I, we kind of agree on this. Like, there are very few people out there who are better than you.
Thank
We
you.
don't necessarily like the structure of how the sport, how the NBA is kind of covered through the mainstream outlets, and there are some elements that we think that are going away and that are missing, and there are still elements that you provide, and your analysis is great. And once more, the NBA playoffs are going on as we speak. This is your time of the year to shine. So we've got a lot looking forward to with the Knicks. Hopefully, they can finally break through. I'm not sure they're quite a title team, but I do like the direction.
Maybe like a Giannis in the offseason.
I think they will be in on Giannis, and with the way this all stars and superstars move these days, it's not really outrageous to think that anymore. But Rick, we thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. I'm jealous of your tan. I'm going to be in Florida soon. Once I am in Florida, I'll make sure to reach out beforehand. I know you're not really too far. I think from
I could see you and
Rick
at a local bar that playing some
absolutely.
Music.
Yeah, I've grabbed lunch, grab a couple of drinks. Hopefully, if it's before the end of the season, maybe we can catch one of the later rounds. But if not, I'm always down there at least 2 or 3 times a year. So, Rick, we thank you for your time. We appreciate it. We always give our guests here the last word. So, if there's anything else you would personally like to share, promote for yourself, where could we we and all that? And we wish you the best of luck moving forward. This was a long time coming, but this was an excellent episode nonetheless. And we're really happy that you're able to do it.
Joe, I appreciate everything you said right there. Nick and I have been kind of going back and forth, and I'm psyched that we finally got this done, Nick. And I've had a blast with you guys, and I think you guys are both awesome and super talented, and I wish nothing but blessings for your careers. Yeah, the sports ethos thing is popping, man. I've got an NBA show every Monday morning at 11. I've got, like I said, the WNBA show. I'm not sure if it's going to be weekly. It might be bi-weekly, but we're going to figure that out. But it's going to be in the Monday at 10 a.m. slot. At Kamla Sports. I'm going to, put out notifications and all kinds of stuff. So if you follow me there, you will know where and when to find me. We're still doing fantasy shows in the off season here, the Fantasy NBA Today. I also, and this is, I love sports ethos, the guys I'm working with, the gig, but they've got me doing MLB and NFL. All right. And I have not done those two, like on radio I have, but I like writing articles, right? Fantasy football rankings, right? I'm in 2 dynasty football drafts right now. Okay. I just who did I draft?
One is a lot for me.
I had a huge decision earlier today. It was the second pick of the second round in a rookie draft.
Oh, you took Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah, I did not take Shedeur Sanders. I might later in the draft, but no, this was just a mind bender between Jadon Blue of the Cowboys with his 4.2 speed. He's a Devon Achane clone, and Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver that went to Tampa Bay in the first round, and he slipped all the way to 14, I think. I mean, Egbuka's like a 1.8 guy, a 1.9 guy, a 1.7 guy. Like, he's a heart of the first round guy. So I'm like, man, I hemmed and hawed on that for a while. I didn't need a running back. My backfield is stacked. And I felt a little light in the wideouts, although I'm stacked at both spots. But this isn't a now pick. This is like an out in the future pick, because I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, like, I've got 4 stud backs. I've got 5 stud wide receivers even before this pick. Took Cam Ward with the first pick because it's a 2 QB league in my I Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson.
That's right.
And Mason Rudolph, who might be the Steelers QB this year.
I don't know if you have a second quarterback of those bunch. I think Cam Ward will have a really good.
Russell Wilson's going to play though to start the year.
He'll play to start the year, but that situation is going to look very similar, I think, to Kurt Warner and Eli Manning as the season goes on. Mm-hmm. But I do like Cam Ward. I don't know if he's the greatest talent individually and whoever went one, but I think he's got a boatload of talent enough where he can kind of go and start for Tennessee. And even if he doesn't win games, I think he'll put up good stats and kind of keep them in games.
Yeah, it was a neat pick. I usually go BPA in these drafts, but what's been holding me back and why I was in the 2 hole, was my quarterback situation last year. I mean, Russell Wilson was a disaster. Dak Prescott blew a tire and died on me. And I'm like mixing and matching for one quarterback when it's a 2-quarterback league. So that was a math problem for me all year. So if I have a healthy Dak, if Cam Ward can just be like a slightly above average fantasy quarterback, my backfield, I got Laporta at tight end. I've got a really good defense. Like, my team's badass. I just need to solve the QB problem. So Cam Ward's a big player for me. And the Igbukah thing is, Chris Godwin's under contract 2 more years. Mike Evans is under contract 1 more year. But, like, are they really going to let Mike Evans go? I mean, the guy's the franchise. To me, right. You got to Kobe him. You got to step him. You got to mint him. You got to keep him. So I don't see Evans going anywhere. And what I like is that all the depth charts right now have Igbukah starting over Jalen McMillan, who was a rock star at the end of last year. And so that made me feel better for the now. And I'm not really going to need him, but I'm like, I don't really want to draft a 4th wideout. That's not doing it for me. And guys, I'll tell you right now, Jadon Blue, if I was light in running backs, it wouldn't have been a decision. I would have taken Jadon Blue. But I've got, again, my backfield is just stacked. So I was like, let me put a little bit more investment into the wide receiver side of this thing. But remember Jadon Blue. I love him. He may become the RB1, although I think it's going to be a split with him and Javonte Williams down there. But he can go. He's got quick twitch. He's got all the video game joystick moves, foot in the dirt, and just he's a stud. Okay, so he is a bit of a fumbler. He had 9 fumbles in college, which isn't good. And you know how NFL coaches are. You start fumbling the rock, you don't see the rock anymore. So that's kind of what's been going on here. All these dynasty dilemmas, man.
The godfather of fantasy basketball, and you can do fantasy football too. You know what? Since we're on the topic, one last small question. When it comes to fantasy basketball drafts, if you are in a league, what is an absolute must for basketball leagues?
For leagues, I would say don't do turnovers. It's a stupid statistic. I'm not saying in reality it is. You turn the ball over, it's a possession. In fantasy, it's a stupid statistic. Right. All of the leaders in turnovers are all the best players in the league. Okay,
because they handle the ball the most.
Exactly. Very so simple. It's just defeats the purpose.
Right. How many basketball leagues are you doing per season?
5.
It's anywhere. Yeah, it's a number around 10. I'm in 11.
Are you doing daily leagues where you set the lineup daily, or are you doing weekly? Daily?
Weekly leagues suck. Weekly leagues are for amateurs, man. Weekly leagues. Give me a break. So I set my lineup on Monday. A guy blows a tire on Monday night. I got to sit with him all week, getting DNPs. Come on, man.
Gotta be dedicated to do it.
That is probably the most important thing of all. Don't play your championship game in the final week of the regular season. That's another one. Treat it like football, okay? Whatever week it is, week 19, week 18, I don't even know right now with the NFL, the schedule always changing, but whatever that last week is.
Week 16.
It's dead, okay? That last week of the regular season is dead.
Week 18.
And in baseball, like, unfortunately, they play it all the way through that last week. I'm in 11 baseballs this year and looking to print more titles. But yeah, man, I love it. I can't get enough of it. I've got one WNBA team. I probably will have 5 before the season begins, and I'm stoked, man. It's a lifestyle.
You ever do hockey once?
Dude, yes. I'm actually you'll like this. So I just played in 2 hockey leagues, 2 Yahoo public leagues, right? Just easy, just draft, and their points leagues. Points leagues suck, but I like category leagues, but okay. It actually worked out in my favor because the category leagues, I got off to a great start. First year that I played, I was in 4 leagues. I won 2 titles and lost 2 more titles by 2 goals. I'm not making this up. I was 2 goals away from going 4 for 4. Second year, I sucked, and I don't really remember why. Last year was just okay. And then so this year I was like, I'm going to play 2 teams and not really go crazy with it. And so I won one of the leagues and I lost the championship game in the other. And I put the name of both of my teams were I don't even watch hockey, just to kind of troll everybody in the league, right? And I like hockey. I followed my teams, made moves, And so that's what's up. But I do like fantasy hockey. But Nick, I mess with fantasy hockey. I'm not like a scientist of it. I just fuck around with it basically.
Rick's
right?
hockey sticks. I mean, you can't be dethroned. Rick's doing over 20 leagues across all the sports. But Rick, this has been a pleasure. Really, thank you for your time. Best of luck on everything moving forward, and we'll see you down the road, I'm sure. So that's going to do here for this episode of You Know I'm Right. For our very special guest, Rick, my co-host Joe, I'm Nick, and thank you for watching. This has been You Know I'm Right.